But I've gone through long stretches in my life where I haven't written. And I was feeling especially like I perhaps would never write again about 10 years ago. And I was at the end of a long trip, a long tour in Europe, and I went to London, England, and decided I would go to the Tate Gallery, which is a beautiful old building they've turned into fantastic gallery for modern art. And so I went in, and there was this exhibition, a retrospective of Edward Hopper, a painter I'd never really spent much time considering, 20th century American painter. So I went in sort of as a person who thought maybe his writing life was over, and I emerged from this gallery thinking that I was going to write a record based on paintings by Edward Hopper. And so I only got 2 songs written. I didn't get a whole record written, but they were a kind of a lever. They were a kind of a force to push me back into the writing world. So yeah, so I thought I'd just show you a couple Hopper paintings and show you a couple of the ones that I worked on. So this is a painting that really struck me, and you know, I mean, if you're familiar with Hopper's work, it's pretty easy to trace over a narrative onto his paintings. They're really evocative. They often don't show the human form, but they still encourage you, I think, as a viewer to kind of trace a story onto them. And so that's what I started to do. I started staring at this painting for a long time. It's called Night Windows. And I started thinking about those moments when you're in a city. This is Chicago, and the view is from the L train. But Chicago is very similar to Winnipeg in many ways, the place that I'm from. The architects in the early part of the 20th century moved back and forth between Winnipeg and Chicago, so we have a lot of the same style of building. And I thought about those moments when you're walking around a city and you glance up and you see someone in the window and you think, or you just encounter them on the street and you think, oh, it's that person that I know who I haven't seen in a long time. And you get this kind of flush of excitement about recognizing someone. And then you realize that that person's actually dead and has been dead for a long time. And there's that weird and kind of strange liminal moment between recognizing the person and remembering that they're dead, where there's something else. They're not dead. They exist somehow. They're brought to life for a second before they go back. And so I thought about this painting a lot and about that phenomenon, and I wrote a song called Night Windows, which I'll play for you now. It might be a little bit awkward. It's coming through that little amplifier there. But writing is awkward sometimes. Sharing is awkward, but it's a good thing.
The stick count for the song, knowing you're gone, glancing up at where you lived when you lived here. I see you suddenly alive, nearly smiling. Stop and hold my breath and watch the way you used to be. The full moon makes disappears behind the clouds, leaves me under empty roads, night windows. We could walk to where these streets get pulled together, a blinking line with gravel shoulders square towards an end, where the radio resounds from doubling traffic, where the power lines steal S's from the hourly news, depluralize our casualties, drown the generals out instead. We turn and watch our city sprawl, send us signals in the glow, night window. Night window. But you're not coming home again, and I won't ever get to say, remember how I'm sorry that I missed the way could we. Remember how I'm sorry that I missed the way could we.
So I got one other, I tried to write 12 songs, I got 2. But the other one was this song, based on this painting called Sun in an Empty Room. This was near the end of the exhibition that I saw at the Tate Gallery in London. And it was sort of basically a chronological exhibition. So this was one of the last paintings that Hopper made in his lifetime. It's stark, it really speaks of endings, I think. It speaks of death. And I didn't really want to speak about that because I felt like I'd done so in the last Night Window song. So I thought about, I sort of superimposed a story about the ending of a relationship onto this painting. And it's called Sun in an Empty Room. And I'll play it right now. Now that the furniture's returning to its goodwill home, with dishes and last week's papers, rumors and elections, and crosswords on unending war, black in our fingers smear their prints on every door pulled shut. Now that the last month's rent is scheming with the damaged deposit, take this moment to decide if we meant it, if we tried. Felt around for far too much,
things that accidentally touched, the hands that we nearly hold with pennies for the GST, the shoulders we lean our shoulders into on the subway, mutter an apology, the shins that we kick beneath the table, our reflexive cry, the faces we meet, one awkward beat, two on and terrified, know the things we mean to say, and said already anyway, like parallelograms of light, on walls that we repainted white, sun in an empty room, sun in an empty room, sun in an empty room, sun in an empty room. Take 8 minutes and divide by 90 million lonely miles, watch a shadow cross the floor. We don't live here